Terry Edwards, and I know that Terry Edwards and Neal Wilson, I believe, were classmates.
No.
A year apart, but I know they've spent a lot of time together. So we'll have Terry Edwards come up, we'll have Neal Nelson come up, and we'll keep the show going.
Good evening. As Jeff said, my name is Terry Edwards, Dodgeville High School class of 1972. Neal was 73, I believe. It's my honor to present him in the Hall of Fame. Neal graduated from VHS in 1973. He was captain and all-conference shooting guard on the 1973 conference championship basketball team. Coach Buck described Neal as one of the best pure shooters ever to play at Dodgeville. Neal was an all-state pitcher in baseball and played in the 1973 American Legion All-Star game held at Milwaukee County Stadium. He was also the starting quarterback on the football team. Neal played basketball and baseball at UW La Crosse, earning a degree in physical education. He earned his master's degree from Adams State College in Colorado in 1982. Neal eventually returned to Wisconsin and had a 30-year basketball coaching career at the University of Wisconsin-Waukesha. He compiled 534 wins, the most in Wisconsin junior college history. He won 5 state titles and 16 conference championships. Neal was inducted into the Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame in 2012. Additionally, Neal, when we were kids, thanks to his parents, Russ and Lois, had the best basement basketball court in Dodgeville. The rim was about 6 foot high, and poor Russ had to keep fixing it because we broke the no dunk rule all the time. But sorry about that, Russ. I was so fortunate to be Neal's teammate in high school, particularly his catcher in baseball. Nothing was more fun than to get an 0-2 count on a hitter. We might waste a couple of pitches, but eventually that hitter would have to deal with Neal's overhand curveball. We called it a drop ball at the time, which literally dropped off the table, and we usually could chalk up a strikeout. With Neal as a teammate, you knew you had a better chance of winning, whether he had the ball in his hand as a pitcher, was throwing the pass in football, or was shooting the long jumper in basketball. He was successful because of his talent, but even more so because Neal played with his head and he played with his heart. Neal represents everything we look for in the Hall of Famer. He's a positive, enthusiastic role model for all who's good about sports. I'm proud to present this award to him tonight. Congratulations, Neal.
Thank you, Terry. He's truly an amazing guy. Bank president, writes a book about the Dodgeville Methodist Church, chairman of the fundraising committee, so we could finally get a pool for our city of Dodgeville. First chair cornet, and the best catcher I ever pitched to. But 2 things really stand out now about Terry. His foursome in the annual Dodgeville Scholarship Golf Outing has won the event 4 times. His brother Ed, Jim Smith, Terry, various different number 4 players. I was fortunate to be on 2 of these championship teams, but to take down the Dodgeville golf legends of Denny Rundleskames, and Toolies, and Joe Hannings, Mitch Bowers, Duke Donahue, Ross Vivian, in 4 major championships, that's the Grand Slam of golf. And the other thing is Terry was the captain of our 7th and 8th grade basketball team. When we laid 120 points on Highland in 6-minute quarters. The sleepovers at the Edwards' house were the best. Wiffle ball, ping pong, and watching Ed beat up Terry. Was their dad, Bob, and brother Curtis, Archie Bunker, and all in the family, or what? Whether we played were a bunch of meatheads or a bunch of things. Bob would take us to all of Eddie's games, and I'd watch Eddie and Gordy Kramer hit all these home runs and doubles and just destroy teams. And if we should have 2 more guys in the Major Leagues besides Corky, and that was Ed and Gordy Kramer, I can tell you. It's an honor to be inducted with Johnny Kruba. I grew up playing sports with his nephews Dave and Mark, It was baseball every day in the summer. Centennial Park or Nelson Field. South side versus the north side, public versus Catholic. We all wanted to be Corky Evans or Pat Riley or Bob Rock, Dick Stevens, Denny Morgan, or Bruce Harrison. I met Johnny Kruba for the first time at a Dodgeville golf outing a couple years ago. He told me he went to Denver Regis in Colorado, and I said I got my master's at Adams State in Alamosa, Colorado. And he said they played him every year. And then he also he said he got to coach, or he got to cover Elgin Baylor of Seattle Pacific. And he was very proud that he held him to 55 points. Growing up, one of my first memories was shooting baskets at Stan and Waddy Anderson's hoop, 2 houses down. I had to shoot granny style. I was like 4 or 5 years old, but I certainly wanted to emulate Pat Flynn. I think he's the best shooter ever to play in Dodgeville, and so I was going to try to shoot like Pat. But the real advantage I had, as Terry mentioned, my dad put up a hoop in our basement, and I don't know how a farmer from Platteville, who was a football player and a boxer, had the insight to do that. But Coach Buck, I tell you, by 3rd grade, I was ready to play. Dad was the captain of Platteville's football team. They only lost 1 game in 3 years when he was on varsity. When I needed to turn on the intensity switch for the 30-year career, I had no problem knowing where I was going to pull it up from. And so, Dad, I thank you for that. My other Bobby Knight fired up coaching model was Mort Moyer. You talk about being intense, focused, energetic. He was our Babe Ruth baseball coach. And I knew I could never throw 2 balls in a row or ever walk a batter. He was going to kill me. And the only game we ever lost was the state championship. Coach Buck also had a great influence on me. He coached me from 3rd grade to 6th grade and then my junior and senior years. We're very proud of our 1973 conference championship team, knocking out Jerry Pettigrew in Cuba City 3 times that year. Pettigrew has the most wins in Wisconsin basketball coaching history, but I like to remind him of that season. As you already know, Coach Buck is Mr. Dodger, Mr. Orange and Black, and we all thank you, Coach. The 1963 undefeated football team led by Coach Heim. What an honor it is for me to be inducted in the Dodgeville Hall of Fame with you guys, my heroes. I watched you play, I watched you practice. As it was mentioned, undefeated football, basketball, 1 loss baseball, the sectional final. I mean, Coach Heim was a Vince Lombardi of Southwest Wisconsin football, dynasties at Dodgeville and Platteville, and he was our grade school gym teacher. And he didn't make us do 100 up-down grass drills like Vince, the man of the pack, but nobody messed with Coach Heim. The 63-64 guys inspired another generation of Dodgeville athletes. We played sports every day. Growing up on the same block as Rick Brown and Denny Brown, how could I not be a basketball player? Terry Edwards helped us build a beautiful baseball field in our backyard. It was a field of dreams. Instead of clearing out lots of corn, we had to clear out a lot of brush. And we lined the field, we put up a snow fence for the outfield wall, and that was our heaven. If you build it, they will come, and our backyard was a place to be. All we had to worry about was Mrs. Perkins' picture window in center field. Dodgeville's had such great baseball coaches, from Coach Wilson's springtime high school dynasty every year, to Mort Moyer's Babe Ruth, to Kenny Stevens' Legion program. Kenny was exactly like Tommy Lasorda. The enthusiasm, the fun, the joy, the love, so many wins, so many laughs. Be playing baseball with my brother Bruce and Jerry Harris and Tim Meister and the Kruger brothers, and Terry Edwards, Kim Bastina, Denny Stevens. We won the league. We took down the New York Yankees, Madison's Legion program. We took them down. If Coach Wilson doesn't have that unexpected heart attack, with his leadership still around for spring baseball, we think we would have had another gold ball in that trophy case. I've had so many Dodgeville people influence my life, great competitors that helped shape my coaching career, like Dave Bruno, Gary Olson, Knight Wynn, Roger Herstein. and my good friend Jerry Ayers. How lucky has it been for me, where Jerry Ayers, the ultimate leader around here, owner of Ayers Furniture, seats in the front row with Dick Vitale and Brent Musburger. We had high school season, we had Badger season tickets in high school for the football games, as Jerry's taking me to all these games. But I don't know how I became the two-guard. I mean, he dropped 30 on us in 8th grade when he's playing for Ridgeway. He drops 30 on us in those 6-minute quarters, and somehow he became the 1 and I was the 2. I hadn't seen a high school football game other than tonight. You know, it took about 30 years, and I saw Jerry's son Aaron play for Dodgeville. They're undefeated. He was first team All-State, punter, Associated Press, and All-World as a quarterback, middle linebacker, kicker, man, that he put on a show. So we've got a guy there that he worships all you guys too, but he's one of the best ever. He's up there with Corky, or Rick Brown, or Eddie Edwards, or people like that. In addition, other people that affected me, when I was at lacrosse, I had an internship in Madison for a semester, so I got to run out to Madison Edgewood College to see Barry Bilkey's basketball team. And his assistant was Dave Kruger. So to go to those practices and games, I knew then that is what I wanted to do. So I had laser beam focus on my future, but Barry's deep love of not only basketball, but baseball, and where he runs that baseball factory in the Quad Cities, promoting the pitching and the catching and the hitting, and he's living the dream, living a sports world life. And man, he was the quarterback in football like I was. You talk about checking off this and checking off that. I was doing everything that Barry was, and now he's a golf junkie, plays every day. And so we got that in common too. And it didn't hurt that his sister Lori was the best looking girl in our class. I did okay in that department too. My wife Cara is very, very attractive. Without the rock and support, I wouldn't be here without my stability and my background. She's the daughter of a Dodgeville superintendent, and so the community was kind of impressed with the resume, but I said, hey, Terry, tell him I married the daughter of a superintendent of Dodgeville. So they got me in. Our daughter, Laura, is a doctor of physical therapy at Wheaton Franciscan Hospital in Milwaukee. And our other daughter, Krista, is a physical therapy grad student at the UW in Madison, and we're so very proud. All my golf friends who know me well, they say they've got to be adopted. No, it all started with the teaching of Mrs. Perkins and Carol Thomas and Miss Wilson and Mrs. Cherry. Mrs. Perkins' picture window was very safe because we never let Eddie play back there. Finally, I'd like to thank Jeff Bradley and Hall of Fame Committee who put this event together. Includes one of my classmates, Terry McNeil, along with Paul Rasmussen, Steve's brother, our co-valedictorian. But Terry McNeil was our tutor, and probably a better shooter than me and Pat Flynn. He averaged 30 a game in the Dodgeville City Leagues for like 10 or more years. So he was a player. Anyway, thank you to everybody. I'm completely honored. Thank you.